Hello and welcome to Racing in Queensland. I'm your host Jesse McDonald, my co-host Paul Knight. Welcome, Paul.
Yeah, lovely to be here for the second time, Jess. How you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. I've seen better days, that's for sure.
We all have, but these things are meant to try and test us.
They are, and hopefully it'll all end well.
It will.
Well, moving on, let's have a look at the Gold Coast Day, and it's a big race event here at the Gold Coast for New Year's Day, and big event for horses trying to qualify for the Magic Millions.
It certainly is. It's Bat Out of Hell Day at the Gold Coast Turf Club on New Year's Day, Metropolitan race meeting, actually. The first race we're doing is race 3, the 2-year-old handicap. Lots of 2-year-olds in here trying to earn that valuable prize money to get a start in the $2 million Magic Millions 2-year-old classic. I've gone for number 10, Ingham Magic from the Chris Waller stable. Ingham Magic's had 2 barrier trials at Rose Hill. Last one was over 900 metres, which he won quite well. And in its first barrier trial, it ran second to Schiffer, the Gerald Ryan trained Schnitzel filly that won quite impressively on Boxing Day. So I've gone for Ingham Magic to win. For second, I've thrown in number 2, Pepper Jet from the Liam Birchley stable, who has had one start up at the Sunshine Coast and won quite impressively. For third, I've thrown in my favourite 2-year-old, if you're watching this program, in 5 o'clock from the Alan Bailey stable. I just think weight and barrier might stop it this time, having 59 kgs for a young 2-year-old, barrier 16, so it's got it all against it, but I think it still is classy enough. And for third, I've thrown in number 7, Mariana, who ran a very good race last Saturday and flashed home for third.
Righto, I like backing Gold Coast horses here on the Gold Coast track on big days. I've noticed over the last number of years the number of winners that have won the big races are trained on the track. So I'm going to stick with the local here. I'm sticking with number 7, Mariana, from the Marianne Thaxton stable. As you mentioned, she flew home last start behind Military Grace, and it was a very strong performance. Even though she's drawn the 20, I do like her on top. I'm putting in Ingham Magic for second from the Chris Wallace stable, who's up here to qualify for the Magic Millions. Like you mentioned, Paul, she trialled very well, and I like number 2, Pepper Jet, for third. So I've gone for 7, 10 and 2.
All right, now we go over to Greyhound Pat with his selections for this week's meeting. Over to you, Pat the dog.
Hello and welcome to our segment Chasing the Bunny, where I'm with our form expert Greyhound Pat. Welcome, Pat.
Jesse, how are you?
Very well, mate.
That's good, mate. That's good.
The good selections last week with a winner and just got pipped with a 10-1 shot.
Yeah, well, a little bit unlucky, I thought, that the dog that got on us could actually run us down. And around the turn, I still thought we could hold on. We got beat about a nose.
I know.
$10, $11. So
and I was on.
Unlucky. Very good, mate.
Each way, though.
Good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
And I backed the even money favourite.
Yeah, that was all right.
We had
too.
Benny the Buttons at $12, so we're all on fire.
I know. It's a very, very good service. Very good.
What have you got for us this week?
Well, look, the same. Look, we concentrate on... I'm not tipping in the maiden final this week because I haven't tipped the winner in the last 2 weeks. So there is a maiden, however, the first race at Albion Park on Friday afternoon. A dog that our regular viewers, I've tipped a couple of times in the placings, and it's got its box. It's number 1, Petal Pickin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And I'm not sure about its... what should we say? I'm not sure how committed it is to winning, but today or tomorrow will be the test. I think it's definitely got ability.
Yeah, all right.
Then later on, a good friend of ours, John Pay, has got a dog in race 9, a little speedy dog, Ellery, who I'm sure wants to win all the time, but often gets tired. But I think it can lead clear here, and it could be some odds, and I think it can get home.
Okay, nice.
And they're the 2 for the day tomorrow.
All right, very good. So we're looking at race 1, number 1, and race 9, number 1.
That's right, yes.
We're chasing the one dog.
Yeah, it's a good box over the $3.95 at Albion Park. A lot of people would know that. And
just what I want to explain to viewers, they might be a bit confused. We've been talking about U-turn tracks and two-turn tracks. Just exactly what is a U-turn track?
Well, a U-turn track is where it's like as it says, it's one gradual turn.
Right.
So it's essentially
They're running on a U sideways.
Yeah, they're running. Yeah, and invariably they're well banked, and they give there's no strain on muscles and hocks, and as they negotiate sharper turns, it's a more gradual thing, more gradual race around a corner, and a two-turn track obviously has, if you can imagine, two-turn. Well, they're both going to be sharper than a long sweeping turn.
Right, so it has more impact on their joints and muscles.
Yeah, and dogs are, free themselves up more readily in with a more gentler stress on body parts.
Fantastic.
Much the same as humans.
Well, very good. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks, Pat, for your time and excellent selections.
Well, yeah, let's hope so, Jesse. Let's hope
so. We'll try and catch up with Luke Gatehouse and have a discussion about the future of greyhound racing and the future of the new tracks, hopefully, that will be built within the area to service the industry.
That would be great. It'd be good to hear from Luke, yeah.
Yeah, it will. Well, we'll have Luke on next week or the following week if possible, and stay tuned, and thanks for joining us for another segment of Chasing the Bunny.
Thank you very much.
Scope in race conditions has its advantages over using a treadmill?
Absolutely. We can get the horse into a full gallop, and a horse is dynamically different at a full gallop. Even if you can get the same workout on a treadmill by working it a little bit slower but for longer, it's a different dynamic to when the horse is stretched out and galloping. There's also the weight of a rider, the way that the horse balances itself with the rider on its back, and the gear, the bit in its mouth, the reins, the way a horse moves is very important for the way that its larynx works. We've also got the saddle blanket system's one way. There's also a box that can be used on the harness, so we can stick it onto a gig and use it on a trotter as well, which, again, for the trotters, we can do them on their home track, and for them it makes a big difference because they're pulling a gig, and that's a major difference to being on a treadmill. This is the water bottle, and as the scope stays in the horse will be producing mucus as it runs, and so we need to be able to flush the end of the scope so that we can keep a really good picture. So this goes into the saddle blanket. This is a control device, and we can actually set how fast we want it to flush. If you had a horse with a lot of mucus, you could set it faster to keep the scope clean, and we just prime it on here. And then this goes through and goes onto the scope and just continuously flushes, so we get a continuous view through the scope. Seconds, it'll put water over the end of the scope, which will keep our picture clear, so we get a good picture all the way through. You'll see on the screen at the moment, it goes as the water droplet comes on the end of the camera. So every time the horse comes past, and at the end of the session, we can still check that our scopes are still in place on the horse. So at all times we know that we're recording the right thing. That's exactly what we want, that view there. We've just got to make sure that the scope's going to stay in the position that we want it to stay in.
How does it stay in position?
I just crimp it here at the nostril, and then it's tied onto two separate clips on the horse on the face here, and then we'll also cable tie it in just for security because I'm a little bit concerned about it. Probably don't need the cable ties, but I think we all just use them because we can't really have the scope coming out at speed.
What's the difference between using the scope on a treadmill and as we've just used in a full gallop, as we've just witnessed?
The main difference with a treadmill is that the treadmills, they're still using a fibre optic, which means you don't get as clear a picture because the horse moves, the scope moves. The major difference is that we can come to the horse. The horse doesn't have to come to us. With a treadmill, the horse has to go for a couple of days to a training facility. They have to be taught to use the treadmill. I mean, there has been a few injuries in treadmills, but that's not been a big factor. But the horse does have to get used to the treadmill, so it's a couple of days away from training, and there's obviously costs associated with that. And also that the horse isn't in a full gallop situation. A horse can't stretch out to full gallop on a treadmill, whereas it does on its home track. There's also gear factors. The way a horse is holding its head in particular gear or particular riders can also make a difference to their wind, to their larynx, the way that the larynx moves dynamically. And distance also makes a big difference. So if they've got a particular distance that they run, we can run them exactly over that distance on the same track and reproduce the situations in which the horse is having a problem.
And the cost?
It will depend on the horse, how many horses we have to do. It's going to be somewhere around $800 by the time that we get there and do the scope, which may seem a lot of money compared to a normal scope, which is more like $100 to $150. But really, if you look at it as a week's training or 2 weeks training for a horse that doesn't have an airway, if a horse doesn't have an airway, it can't gallop. It's one of the only parts of the horse that you can't train. You can train its heart, you can train its lung capacity, you can train its legs, but you can't change its airway. The airway it has is the airway it's born with.
Christine Perry, thank you for your time and all the best with the new scope.
No problems, thank you, it's very exciting.
What an interesting story was with Christine and the endoscope that they can now use on horses galloping around the track.
Oh, it is. Isn't technology so advanced nowadays?
Just
the things you can see, it's moved leaps and bounds.
And hopefully Queensland Racing will be passing a policy where they can use the scope on public tracks, because currently you can only use them on the private surface, on the private tracks. So that'll be passing soon. Let's get into it and have a look at the QTIS 3-year-old handicap.
Yes, over 1,200 metres, race 8 here at the Gold Coast. Another race here where horses are trying to get prize money to qualify for the $1 million Magic Millions 3-year-old guineas. I've gone for number 12, a locally trained horse, as Jess says, go for the locals at home. And I've gone for number 12, Flying Minstrel from the Trevor Bailey stable. I've gone for second, I've gone for number 15, Cavaliered from the Rob Heathcote stable. Third, I've thrown in 1, Spirit of Boom from Tony Gollan's stable. And for fourth, I've thrown in number 3, Starts Me Up from the Bruce Hill stable. I mean, there are 4 horses that I think have got good chances. There's other horses in the field that I think have got a good chance, but I can't throw in everything for you.
That's right.
I'll let Jess do that.
It's a very open field and a hard race, and, you know, you could pick 10 selections and still not find the winner.
Well, I would have said 6.
I'm looking down at the bottom weight here. I like the Gerald Ryan trained Minkton, colt by Mossman out of a Zedative mare, Chickabiddy. This horse is on the move. It's had 4 starts for 2 wins and a third. It's lightly raced. It's drawn the 2. It's on the limit. I think it'll be very hard to beat. I'm putting in Paris Blue for second out of the Barry Baldwin stable by Murphy's Blue Boy, so he's going to be very fast. It has drawn 20, so he might just burn a bit too much gas to get across. But I'm just thinking that, you know, being trained at Eagle Farm, that he just might have enough juice, and Minkton will run him down. And I'm putting in Leslie number 10 out of the Liam Birchley stable for third. So I'm having in 13 for first, 11 and 10. And that's the selections for the Gold Coast meeting on New Year's Day.
It is indeed. And just before we go, I should congratulate Jess. He had the 12-1 winner, Benny's Buttons, last weekend on Boxing Day.
And yourself had Military Grace.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'd rather Benny's Buttons than that at 12-1, my friend.
It was a nice price.
It was good. So hopefully our loyal followers out there got on those two and got themselves a bit of Christmas money.
Well, just a short hi to Leash and Tanil down in Byron, who are celebrating. She's celebrating her 30th, and they're having a cracker time. So the girls will be partying on tonight.
Well, good on them.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope they're
right.
having a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure they will be. Well, that's another episode for Racing in Queensland. Thank you for joining us through the year, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you in the new year for 2011. From the Racing in Queensland team, bye for now.